Hi, this is my review of Races of the Outer Rim, the Ruanoch. This is a sci-fi or sci-fantasy race that you can use in Starfinder, but it's also quite easy to take this race and convert it to Pathfinder if you are using a setting such as Starjammer. This is a burly, stubborn, and bad-tempered type of race. Now let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is excellent. The illustration does a great job of representing this type of race that you can use in sci-fi games or science fantasy games. The document is fully bookmarked, so it's quite easy to navigate through the entire 13 pages of it. The graphic design is also quite nice. It fits the theme overall and the flavor. It's also well written and explained. Now, let's talk about the content. The Ruanoch feel a bit like a left-out race. They were at the end of the giving away of gifts. There was a gathering of gods. These deities began giving their gifts to different species and races. However, the Ruanoch were left at the very end, and the only deity that took pity on them, or that actually wanted to be their patron, was the goddess Aru. So Aru had no gifts for them, but she bowed to them and offered her love and devotion, and that was fine for the Ruanoch. They do not care too much about superficial things, to put it in a certain way. So, in their own words, they said, "That'll do, my lady. Your name shall forever be a prayer upon our lips and a curse upon the ears of thine enemies." The Ruanoch are not exactly an easy to get with type of race. They are not very friendly. They love beer, but they have a really bad attitude. They are stubborn. They don't listen to too much reason, and they are always looking to pick a fight. They are quite impatient, somewhat of troublemakers, but they are quite sturdy and very strong. They are really good at brawls and fighting, and they are very hardy when resisting illness, poison, and old age. Even though they hardly live beyond 40 years. They love freedom. They hate traditions and laws. So they aren't exactly the most easy to be around in certain places where diplomacy is required or a more delicate touch. So they have a bonus to their strength and to their constitution, but they are not very wise. They actually almost were brought to extinction by an alien race. They fought against these invaders, but because the Ruanoch didn't have advanced technology, they were almost destroyed, and they had to pray for salvation to the goddess Aru, that interceded and brought upon a maelstrom that saved them. And since then, the Ruanoch have begun to appreciate and develop their own technology until they became a spacefaring species. So the Ruanoch have some natural abilities such as dark vision and a ferocious frenzy. They are a bit like barbarians, and they are also very hard to kill. They're also quite resilient, as I was telling you, against different negative effects such as poison, radiation, diseases. But since they embraced their technological aspect, they also have some useful feats. For example, we have the feat of being a demolition expert. They are really good at using fully automatic weapons. They also have an infuriating presence, so this is very useful to mess up someone who is trying to engage into a sort of like diplomacy or bluff check. The Ruanoch look somewhat coarse, rugged. They stand about 5 feet tall, and they look a bit like badgers, like humanoid badgers, so to speak. And they don't care about personal grooming or anything of the like. They are quite pragmatic, but they are quite powerful. They are very strong. Even though they look a bit fat, they have a layer of insulating fat about them. But despite that, they are not clumsy or slow. They are quite effective when action is needed. Their homeworld is a bit like a water-soaked swamp. Some would call it like a backwater planet, and they speak not too kindly of their own planet. However, if anyone else talks some bad things about their home planet, they will get angry and it will probably result in a fight. So we have details on their society and their alignment, how they are a bit more divinely inclined because of their goddess Aru, although they have embraced, as I was telling you, their technological developments. And they tell you how they have little by little began to leave their homeworld to explore and search for adventure because they are very well suited for combat and odd jobs. The adventurer's life is the life for them. So you have information on how they get along with the other races and species. They are very hard to get along with. Although when you actually make a friend of a Ruanoch, he is going to be loyal until the very end. So this is a type of race that you want to stay away from, where a delicate touch of diplomacy is needed, but when battle starts, you want to have these guys around. You have information on the type of names that they have and why they became adventurers. Of course, they love good food and good drink and some simple pleasures and some thrills. So they have names such as Chogo, Odenkar, Grimmen. When it comes to male names, or if they are female, they probably are named Luca, Rilnis, Maris. And they also have troubling names such as Bleeder, or Belcher, or Scar. You have tips on how to play as a Ruanoch, that maybe you always like to start fights because you love fighting. Or maybe they have to keep a tight rein on their own temper until they find this individual where they can explode and cause some havoc. And the other races, they tell you about their attitudes towards the Ruanoch. Maybe they are afraid of getting the Ruanoch angry. Or maybe they cringe at the social habits of the Ruanoch and their mannerisms. You have more information about specific details of their homeworld and the type of classes that the Ruanoch can be, how they follow the path of being an envoy or a mechanic or a mystic. You also have some Ruanoch weapons, some pretty self-explanatory and with lovely names such as Bugbuster Grenade, or the Hellstorm Scattergun, or the Bolt Launcher Pistol. You also have new weapon properties such as Corrosive and Unreliable. You have information on the Ruanoch deities, like Aru, as I was telling you. You have information on the history of Aru, the home and alignment of Aru, portfolio, connections, etc. But there's also Maelstrom. This is somewhat of a, I guess you could say, a son of Aru. This Maelstrom was produced when Aru protected the homeworld of the Ruanoch. This is a chaotic and mysterious force, but since that moment when Aru answered the prayers of the Ruanoch, the Maelstrom came to be as a sort of deity as well. So you also have information on the symbol of the Maelstrom, the portfolio, etc. So what do I think of Races of the Outer Rim, the Ruanoch? This is a perfect race if you want to play as a character along the lines of, for example, of Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. A character of this race is not the type of character that you want when you need to engage in conversation and in debate. This is a character for busting heads. So very well suited for exploration and combat type of campaigns and missions and adventures. But I guess it could also be interesting to break the stereotypes and play this character in a more controlled type of way. But I think it will be a lot more fun to have the Ruanoch jumping in on the action. At times they feel a bit like space dwarves because of their stubbornness and their readiness or steadfastness when it comes to engaging in battle. So if you are looking for that type of race, either as a non-player character or as a player character, I highly recommend that you get Races of the Outer Rim, the Ruanoch. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.